with GearHeadTour. Today we are visiting Speedtech and we're getting started right now. Today we are with Roger with Speedtech Performance. Hi Roger, how's it going?
Very good, thank you.
Awesome, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
So, can you tell me a little bit about Speedtech Performance?
So at Speedtech Performance, we design and manufacture suspension for muscle cars, muscle trucks.
I like muscle.
Yeah, in this facility in St. George, Utah, we bring in vehicles and we'll do the design work on them and manufacture the full frames. Some of them are going to be bolt-on components as well. And we're really modernizing these vehicles so that they feel like you're driving a new car, a new Corvette, a new, a new vehicle with all the modern components into them. But also, when you get into a corner, back in the day, in the 60s or 50s, you really had to slow down. Nowadays, people are wanting to speed up and really enjoy their feel in the car. So one of the components, one of our newer components that we have available right now is the suspension for the Chevy 2, which is right behind us. This is a 66 Chevy 2 or Nova, as some people like to call it. So we have a full suspension package now for these vehicles, which was really warranted. There were so many people that were asking us for them, and we were building suspension for 67 to 69 Camaros, 70 to 81 Camaros, and just kind of kept going down the line. And then we had finally decided it's time to do this one. So we're just launching this one and really going to modernize these vehicles going forward.
All right, Roger, so tell us about this Trans Am.
Well, this is a 73 Trans Am, and it's one of the cars that we've been working on for a local customer from Nevada.
That's where I'm from.
There you go. We're getting a fair amount of business up there because it's so close to us. The Trans Am actually has our full extreme components underneath it, so we're going to show you that in a little bit here. It has a custom-built LS engine in it, T56 six-speed, so it's got all the modern necessities. It's got air conditioning and so forth. The neat part about it is with our components, you're going to be able to run a 315 front tire, which is huge on these cars with full steering. And then, of course, we did a mini tub with 335s in the rear, so a large tire in the rear, and really get this car into the pro touring world. So I'll walk you through underneath the car.
This doesn't look like stock.
No, it's far from stock. So this is what we design and manufacture. It is a subframe for these second-gen Camaros, Firebirds, Trans Ams, and there's a lot to it. So I'll walk you through it a little bit. First thing you'll notice is we use a dual power assist rack and pinion made by Sweet Manufacturing. It's a very high-end rack and pinion. We don't just use a Mustang 2 reworked rack and pinion because it just does not give us the strength that we need for the wide tires. Talking about that, you'll see the size of those tires. 315 front tires with full steering is something that you're going to get only from Speedtech Performance, and that's the way we've designed it. You've seen everything's been pulled inboard so that the tire can come right inside and get your full steering degrees. On top of that, you'll notice that we've made everything is custom made. All the lower control arms, upper control arms. We have our own forged spindles as well. We've got our billet aluminum steering arms. Everything's custom made. We use a spline sway bar. So it's the best of the best. We didn't compromise on anything that we were doing. And the nice thing is that it all bolts up into the stock location as your stock subframe would be. You'll notice that also ground clearance is fantastic underneath it for where the engine placement is, and it's set up for LS or the new LT engines. You can always do small block and big block as well in these. What I'd like to show you next is going to be the torque arm rear suspension that we've got in here. So let's move to the back. So this is our torque arm rear suspension. Most people know us really well for this rear suspension. We launched this at SEMA back in 2009, I believe it was, and ever since then it's been a huge hit. The whole idea with the torque arm rear suspension, as you notice, you'll see the torque arm itself in here. It picks up on all the stock mounting locations. The trailing arms themselves go into the stock spring locations, so there's no fabricating there. The upper cross member for the shock mounts are welded into the inside of the frame rails, so there's just a little bit of welding to be done there, and then we give you housing brackets to weld onto your own housing, or we actually have a 9-inch heavy-duty 9-inch that you can put in with the brackets already welded on. The fantastic part about the torque arm, not only is the installation easy and the exhaust clearance is great because we run 3-inch exhaust up and over the axle and exit properly, unlike a lot of the rear suspensions that are out there. But also, other than the ease of installation, is the fact that it's not an expensive rear suspension. It's also, there's no bind on the rear suspension. So when you go to take a corner, you only have the 3 links, and all 3 links articulate very well. On a typical 4-link situation, all 4 links are trying to fight each other to turn.
Got it.
And that's where they bind and you have problems.
Yeah.
So in ours, it's very straightforward, and we sell a lot of these torque arms.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and you can also run the big wide tires. As you can see, these are 345s in the rear here, and nothing else special done to them other than that.
So for a setup like this, how much would you say the typical costs?
For the torque arm itself, it starts at $24.99, and then we can add the rear end in there and powder coating, things like that.
Awesome.
Yeah, very, very inexpensive.
Yeah. So what type of truck is this? I've never seen something like this.
We get that a lot. This is a 61 Scout.
Okay.
Yeah, and
What's a Scout?
it's an international, they call them. So it's an international 1961 Scout. You wouldn't recognize it that much because we've already done a bunch of fabrication to this. One thing about us is we don't shy away from custom fabrication. And this is a good example of that. Just about every part of this and every panel's been touched already. And we have a full custom frame underneath this vehicle as well. So just like we do everything else, it's going to be an extreme frame, and it's going to handle unbelievable.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait till it's ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got a Mustang behind us. Definitely one of my top muscle cars. Can you tell us a little about that?
Sure. So we've got a 1965 Mustang. One of our customers has dropped it off for us from Texas. We actually took all the old suspension out of it and laser scanned the vehicle, and that's how we do our design work. And then we've actually made a new full frame for these vehicles as well. So we're in the stage right now, we're just finalizing that. Being a 65, we'll also have them for the later Mustangs as well, and we're going to make sure that it also has the new heart. So we've got the Coyote engine in it as well.
Are you currently working on any other projects right now?
Yes, we are. We've actually got a lineup of people waiting to get in here, but the couple others that we have behind us, we've got a 65 Chevelle that we just sent off for media blasting and getting ready to do some metal work on. And then it'll get our full extreme chassis, and then we'll start building the vehicle as is. And we also have a 71 Impala that's getting a full custom chassis, and we're doing a full build on that one as well. So there's always new vehicles coming in here at any time.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, some of the vehicles that we have coming in are just easy in and out. Others are large builds like these ones.
So how long would you say it takes for them to be built?
Depending on if it's a full build, it could take 6 months. If it's custom, if there's a lot of custom to it, it could take a year or longer.
Is there any type of model you prefer or like to work on? Like, what's your favorite?
Well, when I was 16, I had my 69 Camaro, so
That's awesome.
that's to me, that's my
definitely-
favorite, and I still have that car. So the first gen Camaros have typically been the go-to cars for us. That's usually what our shop is full of. Now you notice there's not one of them in here. So we've really ventured off into new components and new vehicles, and we're really enjoying that, so that we can actually produce new components and really look after a new market out there as well.
Definitely growing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lots of noise, big space. What is that over there?
So over here we do all of our manufacturing. We've split the building in half. We do all the builds on one side, and then we do the manufacture on this side. We've got 7 CNC machines here, so we can design and make everything in-house. One of our newest tools that we have is a really big 3D printer. So this was actually 3D printed, completely plastic, and it's a 1 cubic meter 3D printer. So we can actually design something now and print it and actually test it right off of the printer. And then from there we can actually design the tubes and so forth and actually have them ready to go. And then do the rest of our coping and cutting, and then all of our welding from there. So we really have full control out of our manufacturing side, which is really important to us, and it really makes sure that we keep our quality control in check as well.
Yeah, pretty amazing. What do we got going on over here?
Well, we're manufacturing from our CNC equipment some of these billet aluminum shock mounts, and you can see one of the processes that we have going on here, and then the finished product as well. And in another one of our CNC machines, we start with a block of aluminum like that, and we go ahead and we make our steering arms. And the steering arms themselves are all different based on the actual components that we're using, and it reduces the bumps here in any of the subframes or even in some of the components that actually you buy and add on to your stock subframes. But it's all designed and manufactured here in-house, and there's all different processes and different equipment used to actually make those processes work.
So how do you finish these parts?
Generally what we do is we send them off for anodizing. Just a hard anodizing lasts years and years and years on the components, and really makes it look good as well.
Tell us the details about these spindles.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So these are our own forged spindles. We're one of the only ones crazy enough to forge our own spindles. 100% our design. They're not a Corvette spindle. These are 70-75 forged aluminum, so stronger and lighter than what you're gonna find out there in any of these vehicles. And what we do is we get them forged for us, and then we do all the machining in-house. So we have a lot of the machining process down pat, so that moves from one machine to another. We make them left or right, so that you have driver and passenger side. The ball joint tapers are put right into the spindle as well. And then from this process, they get tumbled, and then a C7 Corvette hub gets attached. They're a dual bearing hub, and they will accept a C5 or C6 Corvette brake. We have different versions specific to our extreme frames, and others that you can actually buy and use on your own vehicles as well. So check with us and we can definitely see which one works best for you.
Awesome.
And then from here, I think we're gonna go and see the guys on the welding side as well.
Okay, let's check it out. As you can see here, we got some men at work working behind us. Roger, what type of frame is this for?
This is actually for our 65 Mustang that we were showing you earlier there that had the Coyote engine that's gonna be going into it. So our welders are putting it together right now. One thing that you'll notice, and probably a great thing to see that is a difference and differentiates us from some of our competitors, is that you'll see some integral gusseting that we put in the frames. Those are plates that give structural rigidity so that nothing's going to move around, as our engineers already gone through the process to see if there's any areas that could possibly move during really hard cornering. So we'll put integral gusseting in, so that's eliminated. And at this point, our welders are just putting this one together and then moving on to the next one, and they're using a proper frame jig as well. So they're doing full frame here. We've got subframes in the background. We're doing some control arms as well, and we're going to move on to maybe some of our assembly at this point.
We got some finished products, I see.
These are control arms that we're just finished assembling in our assembly room here. They came back from powder coating. We do a satin black powder coating on them, and these ones are actually for a second generation Camaro. Just like the Camaro or Firebird, like what you've seen out there in the Trans Am. So if you have a stock frame, you can actually use these and update your suspension. So we have all the built-in suspension geometry in these control arms and the actual strength to them as well. We've updated them with Delrin bushings, and also made sure that we've got high articulating ball joint in them as well. And now at this point, we're just going to clean them up and put them in boxes and get them ready for our customers. And you'll see them all over the world. They're anywhere from the US all the way to Australia to Canada.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I think probably what we're going to end up doing next is I want to take you guys through and show you the 3D printer that we use.
All right, let's go take a look. This is Shane here, Speedtech Performance Design Engineer. So Shane, can you tell us a little about the 3D printer?
Well, it's a giant 3D printer. What we do with it is we do a lot of our R&D work with it. Right now we are printing new headers for the Coyote engine to go with our extreme front IFS. It's great because we're able to really expedite the development time.
Awesome. Looks like it's working.
It's working. It's working hard.
It's busy.
It runs 24 hours a day. What's great is I just set it up once and then I just leave it alone. This will take about a week to print. I'll just have to make sure it doesn't run out of plastic in the meantime. And then when it's all done, we should be able to just bolt it into the car and check if all the clearance, see if everything fits, everything clears, and then if it's ready to go, we can send off to our manufacturer and they can make the headers for us.
Awesome. Pretty cool.
Thanks.
We're outside with Jay Weir. So Jay, can you tell me about these beauties right here?
Well, this is my 73 Camaro. We've got a whole host of them here, and these are just all of our daily drivers that we drive to work every day and blast around and have some fun. This one is my personal car. It's a 73 Camaro. It's a fairly new build. It took a lot of time. Pretty much replaced everything on it. I think the roof is original. Everything else has been replaced and repainted. It's got a good LS motor in it. T56, of course, our extreme front subframe, 315 front tires, 335 rear tires, our torque arm rear suspension, and it's just a blast to drive. So I think maybe when we're done here, we'll jump in and go for a spin.
Yeah. So Jay, I definitely love Camaros. It's definitely one of my favorite cars. Can you tell us a little about the beauty behind it?
Yeah, the grey one here is actually our lead technician in the shop, Jeremy. That's his personal car, and it does have our new independent rear suspension in it. So it's also been a great test car, because it came from having a standard small block Chevy in it, and it's still got it with our new extreme frame. But now we've just installed our new independent rear suspension. So we've been able to do a bunch of back-to-back testing And Jeremy races it a bunch, but also it's his daily driver. He'll drive it to and from work and then go race it on the weekend.
Oh, I'm sure I would do that.
All right, Ashley, I think we've stood around, looked at the cars enough. Why don't we go for a ride?
Oh yeah, I'm ready. Woo!
Let's go. These are real easy. Plug in.
Is it in?
Yeah.